I'm here today with Richard Ireland, Mayor of the Municipality of Jasper, RICHARDIRELAND, Bill Gibbon, Chief Administrative Officer with the Municipality of Jasper, that's BILLGIVEN, Beth Sanders, Director of Urban Design and Standards with the Municipality of Jasper, that's BETHSANDERS, Alan Fehr, Field Unit Superintendent for Jasper National Park with Parks Canada, ALANFEHR, Robie Gourd, Director, Jasper Recovery Coordination Center on the Parks Canada side, ROBIE GOURD, and Rick McIver, Minister of Municipal Affairs with the Government of Alberta, RICMCIVER. I will now invite Mayor Ireland to share remarks from the Municipality of Jasper.
Thank you, Lisa. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us. As of Sunday, September 15th, following a recommendation from the Emergency Advisory Committee, a committee of Municipal Council, the state of local emergency in Jasper will officially end. The state of local emergency empowered the Municipality of Jasper to implement swift actions which were essential in protecting lives and property during the wildfire. Ending the state of local emergency signals a transition from acute emergency response into stabilization and longer-term recovery efforts. While the immediate threat has subsided, our community continues to face significant challenges in stabilizing the situation and leading into recovery and rebuild. As we shift to recovery, one of the important matters on which we are focused is striking a balance between the resumption of economic activity and supporting residents who are experiencing profound personal grief, loss, and anxiety, each in their own way. Jasper prides itself on being a welcoming, friendly destination. Sharing this beautiful place we are so fortunate to call home with visitors from across Canada and around the world. The gradual resumption of our necessary visitor economy will reduce the risk of some returning residents falling into further adversity from prolonged unemployment. To protect residents' privacy and peace of mind while economic activity resumes, we have placed signage to encourage local traffic only in the west end of town to allow support teams and residents in those areas to continue their recovery. We ask that visitors respect all those areas with restricted access and avoid driving through and taking pictures of the parts of town most impacted by the wildfire. We are also sharing what's open for visitors reference on our website. Some business owners are ready to reopen, some are not yet ready, and others are unsure. We support all business owners in the decisions they each make individually on when to reopen. Our community's social and economic recovery are inextricably combined. It is imperative that both are supported during this transition and beyond. Thank you all. I welcome your questions at the appropriate time. Lisa?
Thank you, Mayor Ireland. I will now invite CAO Gibbon to share remarks from the Jasper Recovery Coordination Center.
Thank you, Lisa, and good morning, everyone. It's my pleasure to provide an update on the Jasper Recovery Coordination Center, or the JRCC. This entity has been established as a key partnership between the Municipality of Jasper and Parks Canada. This very unique collaboration is focused on guiding the community through the coming complex recovery process, delivering the resources and support necessary for residents and businesses to recover and rebuild. Priority areas for the JRCC include obviously the rebuild, debris management, social and economic recovery, and of course, housing. In Jasper, housing has always been a critical challenge, and this issue is even more acute following the wildfire, where over 800 dwelling units were lost, displacing nearly 2,000 residents. We want to ensure that residents and the community understand that all three levels of government are actively working on increasing the interim housing options for Jasper. But it will also continue to be important that Jasperites explore solutions that might work for them as well. The first step in moving forward was the housing application that many Jasperites contributed towards. This gave us the most detailed info on what the community needs. The government of Alberta, to their credit, has agreed to fund temporary accommodation for essential workers until November 30th. And I just want to speak a little bit about that term, essential. These are workers who deliver the most basic core services needed for a community to function. I want to be clear that everyone in Jasper, seniors, youth, service industry workers, and everyone is going to be vital for our community to thrive. From there, we are assessing the creative interim housing options that might be available, identifying housing sites around Jasper, and doing service and impact and cost analysis on each one of those sites. On September 5th, we issued an expression of interest for vendors to provide prefabricated housing or workforce accommodation options in designated locations in and near Jasper. This EOI, or expression of interest, closed just yesterday, and it garnered interest from 38 potential vendors, with 13 of them choosing to submit expressions of interest. Our team is currently reviewing those submissions, and these expressions of interest, alongside the data provided through the survey, will inform the core of a business plan that will be reviewed by all three levels of government shortly. Residents, please understand that any housing that may be established is an interim solution and is expected to be rented at market rates. We expect modular prefabricated housing to form an important part of that interim solution, but it's not going to solve the challenge entirely. We know it's important for Jasperites to feel informed about the progress being made in this area, and as we move forward, you will be able to continue to find more details on our website. Lisa, I also look forward to taking questions at the appropriate time, and I'll turn it back to you.
Thank you, CAO Gibbon. I'll now invite Director Sanders to share remarks from the Jasper Recovery Coordination Center.
Thank you, Lisa. Good morning, everyone. Parks Canada and the Municipality of Jasper have been working together on plans to support residents and businesses on recovery and rebuilding from the impacts of the Jasper wildfire complex. Together, our objective is to streamline the development, review, and approval process for rebuilding so we can enable the rebuild of homes and businesses in the town site in ways that align with Jasper's values. The newly established Department of Urban Design and Standards with the Municipality of Jasper will play a central role in this rebuild process. The rebuilding process is broken down into 5 phases to ensure an organized and collaborative and clear approach. The involvement of municipal planning and development professionals alongside the community ensures that Jasper's future development aligns with the needs and the values of all residents. Site preparation is work that will take place throughout the rebuild. The Jasper Recovery Coordination Center is working on a process to expedite demolition, remediation, and debris removal work in town. And contractors are required to work within Parks Canada's environmental plan requirements. Property owners, please talk to your insurance adjusters. Find out about your policy and if your insurance company is taking part in the Mass Debris Removal Program, which is a coordinated effort between Parks Canada, the municipality, and the Insurance Bureau of Canada to expedite debris removal and permitting processes. This is not an obligatory process, it's voluntary, but it's readily available for you. So the 5 phases of rebuild are very simple. Phase 1 is preparation, where leaseholders are consulting with insurers and start planning their rebuilds. And behind the scenes, the JRCC will update land use policies and architectural guidelines while also preparing rebuilding resources for you. In phase 2 is really about design. So leaseholders, you're going to finalize your building plans and site surveys on your own schedule, while the JRCC guides you through a streamlined permitting process. Phase 3 is application. When leaseholders are ready, they will submit development permit applications and coordinate safety code approvals. And the JRCC folks at my side will review and address any issues and keep communication open. And phase 4, whenever folks are ready, is about construction and inspections. And at the JRCC side of things, occupancy inspections will be concluded and conducted upon completion. And phase 5, whenever everyone is ready, one by one, property by property, when inspections are complete, leaseholders can move into their rebuilt homes or businesses. Thank you, Lisa. And again, I am also available for questions at the appropriate time.
Thank you, Director Sanders. I'd like to invite Superintendent Fehr to share remarks from Jasper National Park.
Thank you, Lisa. Parks Canada is a full partner of the Joint Recovery Coordination Centre and supports the work described earlier. Now I'd just like to speak on a few matters outside the park town site. Visitors and Indigenous partners and residents continue to play a supportive role in the recovery of the park and the community. Services and visitor offers are limited at this time. Please make sure that you plan your trip ahead to avoid disappointment. Areas of Jasper National Park are reopening weekly, with crews making good progress as conditions allow. Snaring Road is now open to the Mulberry Homestead. This opening provides safe access for our Indigenous partners with ancestral ties wishing to visit that area. As well, all-day use areas from the Columbia Ice Fields to Honeymoon Campground are now open. Additional areas in the Pyramid Bench area, which is close to town, and that those areas close to town have reopened today. Several locations of the park and some areas of the town site remain closed. Closures are in place to support overall recovery by prioritizing public safety, minimizing congestion, and protecting the privacy of residents. By respecting area closures, we can ensure safety while supporting the recovery process. Entering a closed area is unlawful. Failure to comply is a serious offense. Residents and visitors are also reminded to obey all signage on roads. Intermittent road closures may be needed to safely take down trees near roadways. Road closures apply to all park users, and non-motorized access is also prohibited. Thank you very much.
We'll now go over to Robie Gourd, who will share remarks from Parks Canada in French.
Oui, merci, bonjour. Oui, les visiteurs et les partenaires autochtones continuent d'apporter le soutien au rétablissement du parc et de la communauté. Cependant, l'offre aux visiteurs et les services sont actuellement limités. Veuillez planifier vos visites avant de partir pour éviter toute déception. Chaque semaine, l'ouverture de certains secteurs du parc national Jasper est rendue possible grâce aux équipes qui font des progrès considérables dès lesquelles conditions que le permettent. La route Snaring est maintenant ouverte jusqu'à la Homestead Moberly. Cette ouverture permet aux partenaires autochtones ayant des liens ancestraux avec cette terre et souhaitent visiter le secteur d'accéder de manière sécuritaire. De plus, toutes les aires de fréquentation à partir du champ de glace Colombie jusqu'au camping Lac Honeymoon sont demeurées ouvertes. Et plus, d'autres secteurs de la tasse pyramide près de la ville ont réouvert aujourd'hui. Plusieurs endroits du parc, certaines zones de lotissement urbain demeurent fermées. Et ces fermetures visent à soutenir le rétablissement global, tout priorisant la sécurité publique et réduisant la congestion et prévenant la privée des résidents. Le respect des fermetures permet aussi la sécurité de tous. On se tient à soutenant les processus de rétablissement. Entrer dans une zone fermée et illégale et les non-respect des fermetures constituent une infraction grave. On rappelle aussi aux résidents et aux visiteurs de respecter la signalisation de la routière, des fermetures temporaires et des routes peuvent également être nécessaires pour abattre les arbres près de la chasseuse en toute sécurité. Les fermetures de routes s'appliquent à tous les usagers du parc et l'accès non motorisé aux zones fermées est également interdit. Merci.
Thank you, Robie. I will now invite Minister McIver to share remarks from the Government of Alberta.
Good morning. Thank you, Lisa. I appreciate this. And it's great to be here with you today. I'm going to give you an update on the work that the Government of Alberta has been doing to help with Jasper's recovery. Slowly but surely, we are starting the return to what is normal. I know everyone in Jasper is feeling like normalcy cannot come soon enough, and we at the government share that sentiment wholeheartedly. We have always known the recovery process will take quite a bit of time and a lot of patience. I want to thank many residents who have shown exceptional patience during such difficult circumstances. As we work together towards recovery, we've seen a few milestones of progress. We've had the evacuation order lifted a few weeks ago, which was very welcome news for so many. And last week, we saw the start of some businesses beginning to open up, including some tourism businesses. As the recovery work progresses and these milestones are reached, Alberta's government continues its work in Jasper and in support of Jasper, including the restoration of health services, as well as the provision of mental health supports for people affected by the disaster. With local authorities in Jasper who are leading us, the town is leading us, and we are here in support. We have fast-tracked a plan to open the schools, which are on target to start classes on September 17. And we know how important that milestone will be, with many people working toward a common goal. As we start to see business resume and more services become available, I realize that one thing that's on top of mind for many Jasper residents is housing. Alongside our partners with the town and Parks Canada, a big focus for the government is supporting the development of interim housing options for those who will be participating in the rebuild and will need to be housed in or near the community over the coming months while the rebuild is underway. Yesterday was the last day for the Municipality of Jasper's request for expressions of interest from prefabricated housing suppliers that are interested and able to provide interim housing in and around the town site. Provincial officials are now working with the Municipality of Jasper to evaluate these expressions of interest and determine the best options for consideration. It is important to recognize that the interim housing supply will be limited, and priority will have to be given to groups such as essential workers once these interim housing options are in place. Now, I also recognize this new housing won't pop up overnight, but the work is happening to make a difference on the ground. As we have said before, residents who were displaced by the wildfire need to speak with their insurance providers, if they have not already done so, to determine what housing assistance and additional supports may be available. Government supports for vulnerable individuals or those in acute financial need remain available, and they can contact the 24-hour Emergency Income Support Contact Center at 1-866-644-5135. One more time, 866-644-5135 for more information. Albertans can also call the Alberta Supports Contact Center toll free. Again, 1-877-644-9992. One more time, 1-877-644-9992, Monday to Friday from 7:30 in the morning till 8 p.m. Or visit alberta.ca/Alberta-supports. Jasper is making progress towards recovery, and Alberta's government, under Premier Smith's leadership, is doing all it can to ensure supports are in place and recovery proceeds as smoothly as possible for as many as possible. So thank you for your time and attention. Your government's here for you. There's some other folks from Alberta's government on this call with me, as we have multiple ministries involved in assisting Jasper. And if there are any questions specifically for the province, we will do our best to answer those. Thank you for this time today.
Thank you, Minister McIver, and thank you to everyone for being here today to share your statements. Before we open the floor to questions from the media, I'll just go over a few housekeeping items. Please use the hand raising function at the bottom of your screen there to raise your hand so that we can see it. For media who are joining by phone, you can use the *5 function to raise your hand so that we'll see it. We ask that you keep to one question and one follow-up, as long as time permits. Before asking your question, please state your name and the media outlet you're with. When you have a question, please wait for me to call on you. And you can also use the chat function to ask your question. If we don't have time to answer your question during the session, we will follow up with you after. See a few hands up here. We'll take the first question from Bob Covey.
Hi, folks. Thanks, Lisa. This question is for Director Sanders, please. I'm curious about what guidance the JRCC will provide homeowners who may see an opportunity to rebuild their homes in a different way, one that meets better their current needs. And perhaps just more generally, what plans are in works to rebuild in a way that is more reflective of Jasper's housing needs.
Thank you, Bob. Over the course of the next few weeks, in phase one, my colleagues at Parks Canada and the two planners that started working with us on Monday, we started pouring through the land use policies and the architectural motif exactly with these ideas in mind. So we're looking for some quick adjustments that we can recommend to Superintendent Fehr to consider, and I'll have more details at the end of phase one for you.
Thank you. Is there any follow-up to that question, Bob?
No, but perhaps since there wasn't a lot of information available at the moment, I could use the opportunity to ask Minister McIver about workers in Jasper and on LMIs tied to certain employers, some of which are not in operation yet. I'm just wondering about these workers who may be slipping through the cracks. What reassurance can we give folks who are involved with work visas that limit them to certain employers? How can we tell, what are we telling them if their employees aren't able to welcome them back to work yet, please?
Okay, well, that's a great question. And of course, like most things, it's nothing is quite as simple as we all hope it would be. However, in the interim right now, I have to say, my understanding is the government of Canada has reacted quite quickly and I think appropriately for temporary foreign workers to be able to open their work permits. I think at some point in the process, they're tied to an employer, and several of those have had their work permits opened up where they can get work anywhere in Canada if they can find it. In terms of more Jasper specific, there's several groups of workers. There's some that were there temporarily for the summer, and right about now, or even before now, those temporary assignments might have been completed. Other ones are on a more permanent basis, and we're trying to work with Jasper Town, the different employers, and those workers to make sure that they have a place to stay and exist and be looked after. And again, Bob, it's a bit of in some cases, that's a bit of a different situation for every person or every family. And through our Ministry of SCSS, Seniors, Community, and Social Services, are doing what we call case management, which is a fancy way of saying talking to people one at a time to find out what their individual needs are and trying to avoid what you said is people falling through the cracks. That's ongoing work. And if there's anybody on here, I gave a couple of phone numbers during my presentation. If you feel like you are one of those persons that are falling through the cracks or not getting the help you need, we are inviting you to call because we want to know about that. We got a lot of people working very hard to make sure everyone's needs are met. But again, it's things are happening in real time, and anybody who feels like they are not getting the attention they need should call those 1-800 numbers that I read in my remarks, and we will do our best to make sure your needs are looked after.
Thank you.
Next, we'll go over to Jack Farrell.
Hello. Yeah, I work for the Canadian Press. My first question is either for CAO Given or Minister McIver. Um, I'm curious with the expression of interest, and you guys got 13 of them, you said. I'm curious what is being weighed over other things. So when you're looking at those, like the things that you received, sorry, is it like the number of housing units that's more important? Is it cost that's more important? Is it how quickly housing can be established? I'm curious what's gonna make that decision for you guys.
Maybe I'll address that one first. Thanks, Jack. So certainly in the expression of interest, we have to consider all of those factors. We also additionally have to consider the utility for the Jasper residents that would ultimately be living in that. That's why we undertook that needs assessment survey, where people were able to contribute information about their housing need and their family circumstance. So we're trying to balance suitability with price, with expediency. So we want to have it quick. We want to have it fit the needs of Jasper residents, and we need to have it something that Jasper residents and all of us will be able to afford. As I mentioned in my statement, there's going to be a gap between what will be covered by people who had insurance, what their insurance will cover, and what the ultimate cost of any new housing that's established is. That's the discussion that the three levels of government will be having together to identify how we can fill that gap. But the first step is really to consider all three of those factors, the suitability and fit, expediency, and cost. They all have to be considered.
Awesome. Thank you. Oh, sorry.
No, I just support with what CAO Gibbons said. He's right on all those things, and we are working with the town to balance those priorities. And of course, it's always a little bit complex because different people have different insurance policies. Some may give a number of days, weeks, or months when the insurance policy that they have will pay for their non-out of resident living. Other policies may have a total dollar amount. So the higher rent that somebody's paying means the less days and weeks that their insurance company will pay for that. So we're trying to, again, work with the town, work with Parks Canada, both who've been tremendous to work with and really working hard for the people of Jasper. And we're very grateful for that, and looking for the best combination of circumstances as soon as possible. And again, we're case managing it as much as we can because not everybody's circumstances are the same.
Thanks for the question, Jack. We'll head over to Edith Fehr.
Hi, it's Guava, Radio-Canada, CBC French. So my question is about displaced people. We are almost at the 2 months mark since the evacuation order. The hotel extension is now closed. What will happen to those displaced people? What is the help? What kind of help is there for them? If it's only insurance that can help them, well, if they don't have insurance, what is going to happen? What if they can't afford their whole hotel room right now? What's the plan for them?
To talk more about it. So Edith, it's a good question, and I keep coming back to there's individual circumstances for everybody. There's people whose summer work in Jasper is complete, and they will likely do whatever they were going to do before the disaster, and I don't take that lightly. The fact is, if they were planning on their work being done perhaps at the end of August or the mid part of September, then I'm presuming that they should have other plans already. But for other people, we're looking at different circumstances and looking and working with the town of Jasper, the Parks Canada, and the local businesses. So some of them will provide, trying to provide housing for the workers that want to be around for the fall and winter season. And of course, you said it's something that I'm going to correct you a little bit. Insurance isn't the only thing. We're working with the Red Cross and seeing where supports can be made available, as well as through the province's social services network to see where they might fit into other programs and services that we have to help people. So it's not a one size fit all answer. And again, that's why we're case managing. someone with 2 adults and 2 kids needs different services than someone who is single and living alone. And we're trying to match the services, the programs, the support from Canadian Red Cross to the individuals and the families as we best can match all of that up.
For a follow-up, I'm glad that you brought up the Red Cross because they are not extending, we heard they're not extending their financial help to stay in a hotel. And we heard also people that have been told to go to a homeless shelter when they were calling us Alberta service line. So I was wondering, what is the help they can expect when they call Alberta service line?
Minister, you're on mute.
Yeah, I don't know if somebody's on the line from the seniors community and social services. They may be able to add a little more detail there, but Edith, I can say that we are doing everything we can with all the government programs, with working with the Red Cross. If there's individuals that feel like they're not getting the help they need, those 800 numbers that I read with my remarks, I would recommend they call there, and we will continue to do everything we can within all of the programs we have with the Red Cross, and working again with the town of Jasper, Parks Canada, and the different employers in Jasper, including many hotels and motels that some are trying to make some rooms available for their staff that they need, and everybody's doing the best they can under difficult circumstances.
Thank you, Minister. It's Brad Geddes with Seniors Community and Social Services. I'll add to your answer. We have a great team that is having conversations, like you said, one-on-one with families. We're working with them to identify what resources they have, whether it be insurance, like we've talked about, whether or not they have savings, whether or not we can refer them to a different employer in the meantime. Some people are eligible for employment insurance, so we're helping with wayfinding that way. In addition, for those people that have very low income or stretching their resources, we are providing social assistance there to find housing. Like the minister said, not everything's appropriate. Some families need different facilities than others. So I would encourage people to reach out to the 1-800 numbers that the minister shared. The other great partner we have is Jasper Employment and Education Center. They have a location in Jasper, but they can also work with you by phone. And they're doing a great job finding people alternate work if they're in a temporary foreign work arrangement, or connecting them with local construction companies that need help. And all those are great income sources to help people fund their housing needs. So I hope that answered your question. Again, if there's something else that we can do, please contact our 1-800 number. We'd be pleased to work with anybody that needs help.
Thank you for the questions, Edith. I'm just going to go back over to Jack. That was my oversight to not ask you for a follow-up. You had asked about the 13 submissions that the municipality received from the expression of interest. Did you have a follow-up question for that?
Thank you very much. I'll be very quick. It's actually just a question for Mayor Ireland. You had said that removing the state of emergency and the quote gradual resumption of the necessary visitor economy will kind of reduce the risk that some residents are facing with essentially like economic adversity, unemployment, etc. And I'm hoping you can just expand on that a little bit and essentially tell me like what your worst fear is with that.
Thank you, Jack. Well, not my fear alone, but the community fear, of course, is that while we set the conditions to allow residents to return, one of those conditions is stability of their livelihood. Jasper is a community that is a tourism-based community. We rely on a visitor economy. Those jobs come from visitors. And it would be unfortunate indeed if we were to set the conditions to allow residents return, but ignore the fact that they need employment when they get here, and that employment is based on the visitor economy. So as I said in my opening statement, that is a critical component. The economic activity and the social regrowth and rebirth of our community are inextricably bound. So we have to recognize that as residents return, they will need employment. They need to be sustainable. And that requires a resumption of the visitor economy. Given the circumstances, I use the word gradual because we just recognize as a reality, given the situation on the ground, that we can't turn a switch and resume our visitor economy. It will grow slowly over time. As the minister quite properly recognized just a few moments ago, many of our hotel properties are in fact making their rooms available for their own staff and other returning residents, which is a wonderful community awareness initiative by those hotels. At the same time, we will need to start having visitors reappear in our community to help drive the very businesses that are trying to open and that provide the livelihood for those residents who have returned and those who are so anxious to return. So I hope that in a bit of a rambling way, I've answered your question. But as I say, our social fabric is inextricably tied to our visitor economy, and we have to have both rise at the same time.
Thank you for that follow-up, Jack. We'll head over to Stephanie Cram now.
Hi, thanks so much for taking my question. So some residents that we've heard from are worried about heavy metals and other chemicals in their homes that could be hazardous. And some of them are going as far as paying for indoor environmental testing and finding high levels of some metals like lead and chromium. So I was wondering what is being done to test homes and buildings that were not burned down?
Lisa, maybe I can take that one from a JRCC perspective. So the community should know that air quality monitoring equipment continues to be deployed in Jasper by Alberta Environment and protected areas to track the AQH, the Air Quality Health Index for Jasper, with live reporting being available on that provincial website. This equipment monitors fine particulate matter, nitrogen dioxide, and ozone. So, Stephanie, I know that's not exactly what you're asking, but residents should know that the general air quality across the community is being monitored. As we begin debris removal at fire-affected sites, air quality monitoring and a zero dust requirement will be mandatory for all debris removal permits, and occupational health and safety compliance will be required. Departments of OH&S will conduct monitoring at each work site as debris removal is underway to ensure that that zero dust requirement is met. Finally, the Municipality of Jasper is in the process of bringing in a consultant to monitor air quality across the community through that debris removal and rebuild process. So I think the distinction here is that much of the property that was impacted, we're obviously talking about private structures where individual residents or property owners, leaseholders, should be in contact with their insurance company to understand what their insurance company is able to support in terms of investigating air quality. Every indication from the health experts that we have been in touch with so far at the provincial level has indicated that Jasper is safe to occupy, that people's individual homes should be safe, but we appreciate as well that individual residents will have different levels of comfort, and they may wish to undertake different exploration of the condition of their individual properties. Our advice would be that they should undertake that exploration in consultation with their insurance company.
And as a follow-up, has the municipality talked with residents that are concerned about these heavy metals that possibly could be in their homes?
The municipality obviously hears from residents on many different concerns. This is absolutely one of the ones that we've been hearing from residents on. As I said, the challenge is that we're talking about, inside of people's private homes. And as the municipality, our jurisdiction really doesn't extend inside of people's private homes. The appropriate authorities would either, likely be at the provincial level, and all of the appropriate provincial authorities have identified that Jasper is safe to occupy. And again, I think it really is about an individual resident's level of comfort, and they should work with their insurance company to ensure that they are able to establish an understanding about the condition of their home that would allow them to have that sense of comfort that it's safe to reoccupy.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Stephanie. Over to Zach Delaney, please.
Hi there. I work with the Edmonton Journal. This question kind of goes to either Minister McIver or CAO Given, because you both kind of mentioned it, but the options for housing that are being considered, you said that there are multiple options being looked at. Can you kind of clarify what those options specifically are?
Thanks for the question, Zach. I can maybe start. So in Alberta, we have really good experience with rapidly deployed housing. I think a lot of us would recognize that industry in Alberta is particularly good at this. And so I think from a resident perspective, there's an expectation that this can be deployed very quickly. I think the other thing that people need to recognize is that form of housing is often camp style, which is not likely to be the style that Jasper residents, would be comfortable living in for an extended period. So we are assessing the range of options that are available. And so I guess, Zach, to be a little bit more specific, they go all the way, the options that are under consideration are everything from camp style housing where there may be a shared kitchen area that may be more appropriate for contractors who are working on rebuilding phases, to individualized living units that may be good for a single or a couple, to family units. And you can appreciate that that's a pretty wide spectrum of housing styles, and each would come with a vastly different cost. That's the analysis that's underway right now. And we hope to be able to bring more information to the other orders of government so we can discuss the options that are available, the costs associated with each of those different housing styles, and the need that Jasper residents indicated on that initial needs assessment and survey.
I'm just going to ask CAO Given to take a little more credit. He's been a little modest here. The town has been really good at loosening up some restrictions for people that have homes to allow them to park a motor home or some kind of a camper either on their driveway in front of their home, something that would have normally would be restricted. So that is available now for people. And I'm not suggesting that that's the greatest or the best or the worst answer. I'm just saying that they're not just working with people that can construct new temporary housing, but actually trying to provide as many options for homeowners that may have resources to get a camper, a motorhome, or something to keep themselves or their family in temporarily. I'd like to thank them for that, and I understand there's at least some residents that are considering those options. And I'm just, if Lisa will allow it, one of the other things that we're trying to do, and the town is part of this too, is to try to warn people during these early stages against scammers when there's been other disasters in Alberta in the past. To coin a phrase, we've had people show up with a pickup truck, and perhaps it might cost $400,000 to rebuild a home, telling people they can do it for $200,000 if you'll just give me a $50,000 deposit today, and then they never hear from them again. So I'll don't mind just cautioning Jasper residents to be cautious of those people that would try to take advantage of the situation you're in right now.
Thanks for that to both of you. On a slightly sort of separate note, as businesses kind of look to maybe get tourism back as a key driver of the economy, we're headed into kind of a tough season for any tourism time, like it's kind of going into the shoulder season. So businesses that want to open back up again are kind of put in a vulnerable spot where normally there would be a lot less tourists coming into town now anyways, but they also need to take on staff if they want to be able to kind of bolster and get their businesses moving again. One of the things that was brought up from a business that I spoke to was the idea of potential supports from a government level to help with wage subsidy of some kind. I was curious if that had been talked about. If so, what would that look like? If not, why not?
I would say to you, Zach, that is being talked about. I don't think decisions have been made, but I think government is considering what we can and are able to do. And I don't believe somebody from JET or another department of government has more information than I do. I invite them to jump in, but I think where it's at, and I'm happy to be corrected by my colleagues if they're on the line, is that these things are all under consideration right now, but I don't think we're quite ready to make an announcement. But I would say your question is right on point and something we're aware of.
So, Mr. McIver, it's Brad Geddes here from Seniors, Community and Social Services. Again, I would agree with you. In the interim, though, I would encourage small businesses to work with two groups. One is BizConnect. They're able to identify different resources like loans or advice from other businesses that have been through similar extraordinary challenges, like in Fort McMurray and in High River. They can help you wayfind, just like we're talking about case managing for individuals. BizConnect can help case manage for businesses. The other resource, I'll share it again, is the Jasper Employment and Education Center. As programs are available to support employees or employers, they will be updated as well. And so a really good partner for you as a small business. They can help you get the word out about opportunities and connect you with employees who may not be continued on by other companies, but are extraordinary employees to help your business. So again, that's the Jasper Employment and Education Center. And the other one is BizConnect, BizConnect. Thanks.
Thank you for the questions. Our next question will be from Jacqueline. Please go ahead.
Hi there, Jacqueline Kusi from Global News. Will the footprint of the map of the town change through the rebuild? We were hearing there were some areas that homeowners or lease owners were saying that they were told by insurance that they can't rebuild just due to slope stability. So are there any areas of the town site that leaseholders won't be able to rebuild due to slope stability?
Hi, Jacqueline. Beth Sanders here. That is not information we are aware of at this time. So there's nothing coming from Parks Canada or the municipality on that front.
Awesome. Just to follow up too, then what's the work been like? I know you were bringing in geotechnical experts looking at slope stability in the town. Have they kind of concluded their investigation in the town yet, or is that still ongoing?
It's still ongoing, Jacqueline.
Thank you.
Thanks for the question. Are there any other questions? Okay. That will conclude our teleconference for today. Thank you all so much for coming. Thank you to all of our speakers. Jasper Recovery Coordination Center. You know where to reach us. I'll put our email in the bottom there. And thank you very much. Have a great day.